Hey, it's Patrick from J&P Cycles, and today we're going to show you how to take the fuel tank off an Indian Challenger. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you're going to do a handlebar job, it's a good idea to get that tank out of the way, or if you need to access the air filter, you'll need to know how to get that fuel tank off. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the side panels off and take the seat off. Now, you can learn from my mistakes here. I actually broke this panel the first time I pulled it off, so I'll show you real quickly the way to grab this thing to pull it off so you don't shatter it like I did. So this panel is actually pretty big, and it's held on by just some rubber grommets. And you can see the brake here where I grabbed here and pulled similar to a Harley, and it didn't work out so well for me. So pull a little closer up to the top like this. It'll flex a little bit, and it'll start to come out. Move around to the back. This comes off. We'll do the same thing on the other side, and then we're gonna need a 6mm Allen. We'll take each one of these bolts out, slide our seat off. When you go to take your seat off, you need to pull it back. You can't just pull it up. You'd think with taking those two screws out, it'd come right off. There's actually a peg and a slot back here and a couple slots up here. So you need to move the seat back before we lift up. So now we're at the bottom of the tank here. You need a 6mm Allen. We're gonna pull each screw out here. And when I pull these screws out, there's some hardware and spacers on the inside. Go ahead and take them out, or more than likely they're gonna fall out and you're gonna lose them. The other thing we need to do here is there's a little clip poking through this tank that's holding a wire. While we're here, we need to push that clip back through there and loosen that wire up. So you're gonna need a 4mm to take the screw out right here. This is the only piece of hardware we have, but when we go to take this dash off, we need to push forward and pick up because there's a little pin in there. Here's the pin, and it's in that slot right there. That's why you gotta push it forward and then pick it up. So now we have to unplug a few things to get our tank free. We're gonna unplug the fuel line, which has a little fitting. You just press the button in and push pull up. And then this vent line pulls right off. And then the plug for the fuel pump is back down here under the seat. It's in kind of a weird keeper. Be careful getting it out of there. And once you get that unplugged, you need to pull that plug through the wiring harness, make sure it's nice and free so when we take the tank off, it doesn't get hung up. Once you get this unplugged, you need to get this underneath this wiring harness and through this hole. You have quite a bit of room, so you just need to fish it down there, otherwise the tank will get hung up when you go to take it off. So now the tank's ready to be removed. There's a couple of things in our way. This tank slides back. You need to tip it up at like a 45-degree angle and pull it off. But you're gonna be stopped from doing that because the fuel line and the vent line run down the inside of the tank. There's two metal tabs on the inside of there that's holding those two lines, and they have zip ties on them. So what you have to do is block the tank up at about a 45-degree angle. If you have somebody to help you, that's fine. I like to stick a rubber mallet underneath there. Then you can get under the side of the tank, clip your two zip ties. Once those two zip ties are off, then you can tip it at 45 degrees and pull it back. There's basically a little rubber peg in there, and there's like a little cutout in the tank, and that's what's holding on. We're sliding it off that. We gotta tip it up and slide it off. Before we do that, we're gonna release these two lines under the clutch side of this tank. Might be a little tight on the clutch side because where those fuel lines are running in there, but once you have them cut loose, you should just be able to wiggle it off at this angle right here. What I like to do is take a zip tie real loosely and zip tie these super loose right here to this wiring harness. And what that does is it holds these lines kind of in place for where we need to go. Okay, so when we go to put this tank back on, hold on to this wire down here, the fuel pump wire. You don't want it dangling down. Hold it up out of the way. And then we're gonna kind of tip it at an angle and push it forward. So I'm going to prop this tank up and I'm going to put the lines back in those tabs to hold them out of the way. So once you have the fuel and vent lines secured in there, I like to go ahead and mount the bottom of the tank so nothing else moves around while we're hooking stuff back up. So now's the time to put that hardware back in there. The little silver one goes on the inside of the rubber grommet, and then another rubber grommet goes on the outside with the washer and the Allen bolt. So we're going to finish tightening these up, and then we're going to torque them to 18 foot-pounds. So while we're still down here at the bottom of the tank, we're going to route this plug back the way it came, underneath the wiring harness, back through here and plug it in. So now I like to clip that zip tie that I put on there. Don't cut your fuel line. There it goes. Okay, and then we're going to plug in our vent and fuel line, and you can see they lay in a cradle right here. It's good to get them snapped back into place. You can't really mess them up. They only fit one size. Then we're going to plug our vent hose in. Then we're going to push the fuel line back down. You'll hear it snap into place. Just kind of give it a jiggle to make sure everything's good. So now we're going to put our console piece back on. Don't forget, you have this little pin here. We're going to tip it in, set it down, and kind of move it back into place. We're going to put our screw back in with the 4mm, and we're going to torque that to about 50 inch-pounds. Don't forget, when you put this seat on, you got to get this tab here in the back situated and then push everything forward. Kind of have to almost over-exaggerate it. Then we'll put our 2 Allens in using our 6mm. You'll put the panels back on. You line up your little grommets and your pegs. I've got a grommet here, one here and one here, peg, peg, peg. We're gonna line those up and just gently push them back on. Just like that, you're done. Not really that big a deal to take the tank on and off this. Nice to be able to service your motorcycle. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop us a comment and go work on those motorcycles.